The Los Angeles Clippers are trading James Harden to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland and a second round pick. Man, and to think that this trade deadline, just about 24 hours ago, was feeling like it was dead. I was literally about to make a video about how there's nothing that's happened, nothing ever happens. This is going to be the worst trade deadline ever. And then last night, Shams posted that James Harden wants out. What? The Clippers, the team that were 6-21 and then win 17 of the last 20 games or whatever it is. He wants to leave? What happened? What's going on? And that all of a sudden the Cavaliers are trading Darius Garland to him. And then today we had like 3 trades. Jaren Jackson gets traded. Just Vucevic gets traded to the Boston Celtics. Like, it's just trades out of nowhere coming today. But the big one is James Harden getting traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers, man. What a very interesting trade we got going on here. A 36-year-old point guard getting traded for a 26-year-old point guard. I do believe they are just 10 years apart. Now, the main reason why this is happening is because James Harden wanted a 2-year, $80 million extension from the Clippers, but they were not interested in giving it to him. It says in the quote that the Clippers have long been prioritizing their cap space heading into the summer of 2027, and they were not willing to give players deals beyond the 26-27 season, which is very true. If you go look at the books right now, I mean, other than Garland, who signed, Kawhi's contract is done. I'm pretty sure the only contract they have going into that summer is their center. Oh my god, what is his name right now? Mr. Zubac. Zubac is the only person signed with the Clippers beyond the 26-27 season. And to think that the Clippers were going to be NBA champions or NBA contenders this year was unrealistic. And, you know, James Harden is about his money. I respect that at his age. You know, he wants the security. He wants the $40 million contract as long as he can get it. And I respect that. And I also respect the Clippers saying, hey, we don't want to give you that money, because last year was maybe the last real push we had with this team. They pushed Denver as far as they could and they lost. This year, starting off 6-21, sure, this in-season turnaround has been amazing, but I don't even know, they're in the play-in right now. Like, even if they continue this push with Harden and Kawhi and Collins and Zubac and Derrick Jones Jr. and whatever, I don't think anybody was really going to pick them in the playoffs after, you know, their defense was better last year and they lose in the first round. I don't think most people were going to pick them in the playoffs. And I think the Clippers see the writing on the wall that, hey, this team is not good enough to win. It's great that we're having this turnaround, but it's not good enough to win. And our future is completely up in the air. Like, other than the fact that there is no contracts on the books, it's basically like the team is not, this is not going to be the team in 2 years. So why not, if, you know, we don't want to give Harden this contract, let's go get a younger point guard in Darius Garland, who for some reason the Cavaliers wanted to trade after they just got Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis as extra guard play. Let's go get Darius Garland. And the Cavaliers are like, yes, please include us into this trade. The Cavaliers today, before this trade, there was rumors about Jared Allen. There was rumors about them getting Giannis, about them looking at AD. They were saying that Donovan Mitchell said that he's not going to sign an extension with the Cavaliers if they flame out early in the playoffs again. Kind of putting a little bit of pressure on this team, who has had a severely disappointing season for their expectations going into it. I mean, they were expected to be number 1, number 2 in the East. I expected that from them, and they just were very middling for most of the year. They've been much better recently, but a large portion of that is Darius Garland has just been injured for most of the year. Like, he was out with a foot injury. He came back, injured his other foot, and now he's been out for I don't know how many games. I guess they just view like, hey, if this is a win now move, we need somebody who is a proven Ironman in James Harden, who just really doesn't get injured and plays a lot. And, you know, in terms of like players, like, they're both ball dominant point guards. James Harden, obviously, not just the availability, but he is playing better than Garland this year. I think the connection with Mobley and Allen is very obvious. It's just going to be Garland, but maybe a little bit better, at least more available. They're looking at from that lens. So, I mean, it makes sense, but it's also like, dang, this is supposed to be your core, your top four. And I've talked about this before on my podcast, Pushing the Pace podcast. My co-host, we talked about like the Cavaliers, they need to show something in the playoffs, or else this team is not going to be the same going into next year, because they've had 2 straight seasons of just kind of being bad in the playoffs. And I guess they feel the same way, but they're like, hey, we can get James Harden right now. We can get somebody who is much more reliable, and at least just the availability. The availability is the key for this. And James Harden, he is older, but I guess in their eyes, they're like, hey man, we were gonna split up this core anyway next year or in the next 2 years for sure if we weren't gonna win. And I guess they just feel really nervous about all of the foot injuries that Garland has. I mean, it is concerning. I don't remember exactly which foot injury he had, but the fact that he injured his toe on his other foot, like that's not something that you can just scoff at. Like, he's been out a lot and the team has suffered because of it. And, you're kind of just going all in, I guess, and hoping that Donovan Mitchell and James Harden backcourt won't get killed too much on offense, which it probably will. Like, both of those guys, especially at his age. I mean, Harden is, I think, a more willing defender at times. He is at least a bit bulkier and bigger than Garland. He's not going to get physically attacked as much as a Garland would, just in terms of size, but obviously he is no insanely plus positive defender at his age. So that is still a big question for them looking towards the playoffs. They also just traded for Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis. Like, I liked that because Garland has been out. I liked them getting those extra guard play, but now that they have Harden, it feels slightly redundant. Like, cool. They got rid of oh my god, what's his name? They're DeAndre Hunter. They got rid of DeAndre Hunter. Their one wing player. Well, not their one wing player, but they got rid of him for those guards, and now you get another guard in Harden. So it's gonna be interesting what they do in that position. Obviously, Mobley, Allen, these guys, like they would with Garland, are gonna, have a lot of, Harden knows how to play with bigs. Zubac, Capella, Claxton in Brooklyn, he's going to be able to get Allen and Mobley as good as looks as any. Obviously, Garland was doing that, but again, it just comes down to availability. But it is really crazy that the Cavaliers, I guess, got so spooked by this and by Donovan's remarks that he's not going to sign with them if they don't make a playoff run, and they know the medical everything going on with Garland, and they really didn't like what they saw in terms of this season, his availability in the playoffs. They just didn't like that, and they're like, man, we're just going to replace Garland with another player who plays the exact same position, is very ball dominant, very good, amazing playmaker, a great shooter. Why not? And then I guess just the fact the Clippers, this dispute out of nowhere, really, that, hey, we don't want to sign you, Harden being like, okay, trade me. And then Cleveland got on top of that, and now here we are. We're looking at Harden and Donovan in the Eastern Conference. This is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. Very interesting to see in the playoffs how this goes. But man, what a trade deadline so far. And we still got a full day before the deadline. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Who knows what's going to happen last minute? That Giannis to Minnesota stuff is getting very loud. There's a lot of stuff about that right now. Obviously, all the trades that's already happened. Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Jazz. Hopefully going to make a bigger video with all of the smaller trades that have happened. But yeah, man, what a way to start trade deadline week.